Owning a house on my own was always a big dream of mine. There is, however, no dream without the right information. So once I found out about cheap properties in the Balkans, there was no chance of anything stopping me. I started craving the simplicity and freedom out in the nature, away from the hustle and bustle of the city. The constant battle for money and one's place in society was driving me crazy. I didn't want it to be part of this rat race. And so once the pandemic finally hit, I was ready to pull the trigger, and I bought my house in Serbia. I didn't know what to expect when I was buying a house in the middle of nowhere in the Balkan mountains, totally off the grid, without running water and electricity. I knew only one thing for sure, and that was that it's better than to be stuck in the lockdown somewhere in a city. And so I moved right in, and the journey of home ownership began. You can probably imagine that after 15 years of nobody living here, the place was quite neglected and the garden was total jungle. I started with clearing out the unwanted bushes and trees to make even movement on the property possible. Some of the trees grew too fast and too close to the house, and they become danger to the building itself. So even though I liked the look of them, they just had to come down. On the other hand, some of the trees were in the way of the sun, and because I'm in the forest anyway, I happily chopped them down. While I was slowly transforming the jungle into my own personal Zen garden, I had to struggle with electricity and water situation as well. To this very day, I exist there only with the help of headlamps and little garden lamps powered by solar energy. Now this will be hard to believe even, but the first 3 seasons I survived there without a car. All the food and supplies had to be brought in with a bicycle, or worst case, a taxi. So my 2 mountain bikes become my best friends, not only as helpers to bring supplies in, but to fight loneliness and boredom while driving around and finding interesting mountain bike trails. Because the previous owners left all their stuff in the house and it was basically useless old things, I needed to burn a lot of it. It would be impossible to do otherwise. I didn't have a car. What do I do with old couch or furniture? Whatever was possible I repurposed, but a lot of things went up in flames. Now thinking about it, managing the garden and landscaping was some of the hardest tasks that I had to do. The renovations of the house were actually, in my opinion, cosmetics. You know, it's old mud house, so you can basically just go to the garden, mix some dirt, sand and straw, and off you go. You have your natural concrete. So where there was a hole in the roof that would damage some of the plasterwork, I would just patch it and off you go. Then you paint it with limestone and job done. So it didn't take me too much time to actually make the house itself livable. I did one total fail, however, and that was building a rocket stove out of old buckets and clay mixture, which turned out looking quite artistic, and I was very happy, but it was totally unfunctional. I did manage to make a cup of tea on it once, and as long as the mud and clay mix started to dry out, the smoke began leaking into the room and I was just suffocating myself. So that stove survived one winter there without me being there and using it, and was replaced the year after. What is amazing on living out in the middle of nowhere is that you can really find yourself. The calmness and peace surrounding you, the forest and wild animals, they bring really different time zone into your world. I needed this grounding, down-to-earth time. After 10 years of living and working abroad, moving from one country to another, I really felt like I could spend some time on my own without alarm clock ringing in the morning, without showing up, working with people you don't want to work with just because you need to make money. I felt like I need a base where I can go back to whatever goes wrong in the real world. It became my little personal bubble, my dream world, where I was the only person to listen to. Going off grid taught me the value of time and how much we are all connected to the grid, internet, and other people online that really doesn't give us much value in our lives. It's just this digital rubbish floating around our minds, and it's really liberating to have a place where you can escape all of that. It's important to note that there are risks and downsides to this lifestyle as well. When you move into a house in the middle of nowhere, you're in total self-reliance mode. You're there on your own. Nobody's gonna come and help you if you cut yourself, if you fell down from a ladder, if you break your leg. Anything that happens, you need to be able to get back to civilization and rescue yourself. Then there is weather. Not every day is a sunny day, and you cannot spend all day outside being occupied with whatever project you're working on. At that point, what do? You're stuck at home without internet, television. You can read a book and that's about it. So if you're battling any addictions, alcoholism, smoking, whatever it might be, it can get quite intense on bad weather days. You will have talks with all the inner demons that you might have around or inside your head. But it can also act as a retreat, and you might be able to win over all those demons or whatever issues you might have, past trauma, whatever reflections that you will encounter. Time will heal, and a place like this can absolutely be positive influence on changing your personality, and you can only get back better. It is enormous relief knowing that you have a place where you can always go back to, a place of your own, that you have no bills, no responsibilities. You can lock it and leave, but you can always go back to your base. Because I am not connected to anything, my monthly payments are literally zero. Of course, there is some yearly tax on property, but it's peanuts compared to what value you're getting back. There is no stress affiliated with owning such place. It has been literally a net positive on my life without even thinking a second. Any small challenge that you might encounter while living in a place like this is just net positive, a big reward on whatever input. The output is always 10 times bigger. I can't even compare what benefits I got out of purchasing this house, my mental health, my strength, my physical endurance, fitness. The house like that makes you work, like the pure existence is like being in a gym. You're chopping down trees, moving big rocks, cycling 15 kilometers to do your grocery shopping. You name it, it's action-packed adventure. I hope to inspire more people with my message, and if you want to find out more, oldmountainhomes.com, link is in the description. Properties like this are waiting to be discovered, and they want to call you the owner. Thank you for watching, and until next time, do widzenia.